All right, tonight we're going to cover the topic. It's an advanced level topic, so if you get lost in here or you are a little bit confused, you really kind of need to use these to get used to them. This is the Alpha Omega Cross. We are going to talk about how to fine-tune these. You might have seen these on your charts. There are different ways to use these. These should be used in conjunction with other things, although there are some raw strategies that you can apply to these as well, depending on how far you want to go with these. Can they be used on their own? They can, but they are going to give you additional pieces of information. Remember, around here we've got a famous phrase that says trade nothing alone, use things in confluence. But let's look at the power of these Alpha Omegas. Now obviously this is a perfect example of, wow, you see a big red cross, yeah, we got a big shift in direction right here. These are the Alpha Omega crosses. Now Alpha and Omega, this is the beginning and the end. This is a biblical principle that God said that he is, I am the Alpha, I am the Omega, I am the beginning, the Alpha, and the end, the Omega. All right, so the beginning and the end of something. What could that be? Why did I name these the Alpha and the Omega? It is because of that name. It can be the beginning, it can be the ending of what? Several things. It can be the beginning of a move, like this one. In this case, a clear example of this is the beginning of a move. It is also, do you notice that it sorry for my voice, been under the weather. We've had a bit of that lately. So it is also could be considered the end of this move. Do you see that? So this would, if this was an alpha and we're going up, now this is an omega at the end of this move. Yes. Now it is also on a short side, it becomes the alpha of a new move. And now we don't have an omega here inside of the current screen. So let's see if we can bring one in. I'm going to hit control up, up. Let's see if we can find the end of this move. We have the alpha. Let's see if we can find the omega. Whoa. You see it way over here. Now, I don't know if I can even get these on the screen. Yes, I can. There you go. Do you see the power of the Alpha Omega crosses? Can you see that? Now, is this going to be like this on every play? No, we're going to talk about fine-tuning these and how to use these. Several ways to use these, but these can be exactly this. It can literally call beginnings and endings of major moves. Let's see if this one, but you might say, okay, so that's a green, so then we should expect the up move. That's possible, depending on how these are read into the session. Look at time of day here. A 10.1 power was good enough for this time of day. Look at the time of day, 1945. Okay, so 7:45. I mean, we're talking about after hours New York session. Okay, 17. Okay, evening, if you will. Now, what about this though? This is this is 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, this is beginning of, is this Asian session? No, this is London session coming up here. Right? No, sorry. Asian. London starts at 6. No, it is London. Anyway, sorry. A little bit tired here tonight. So you kind of need to gauge by session. This is why I want to say, like, this is a little bit more difficult to understand how you might fine tune these, and you have to look. This is where you could build an optimization process for this to find this. But I find it's kind of easier to, everything is more related to the most recent information. Like optimization is something if you need to run something back for long periods of time. This is something what you want to know is like, what are the, here's the question that you're trying to answer when you're trying to find what are the best settings for this when I'm talking about tuning. This is what you're looking for. What is the best setting, but when? For what time period? The answer is right now. Do I really care what the setting was for yesterday? Do I care about what the setting was for, midnight, 3 a.m.? Depends. What time of day are you trading? Maybe what was the best setting yesterday at the same time I'm trading right now? So like right now, If it's 10 a.m., I'm trading at 10 a.m. Eastern, then maybe I need the setting for yesterday 10 a.m. You see how there could be a correlation there to that? That might be important. But would it be 10 a.m. 5 months ago? Not really. You see, this is one of those scenarios where when I'm trying to find these, and this is what I'm saying, this is an advanced topic. If this is beyond you and you're not interested in this, that's fine. But if you are fascinated by the alpha omegas, if you've seen the power of these, you know, stay tuned. We're going to go try to walk through some of this and how you can kind of get these settings by eyeballing it. As simple as, well, did the 10 turn? Did this 10 call the turning point? Yes. So this is a great setting for this location. Did this 11 call a turning point? Well, you know, kind of up to you. This is what I mean by up to you, because is this enough for you to take this to the upside? Even though there was not, you know, it's not like, oh, there's another 10 right here telling you where the exit is. You have an entry, but you don't have an exit. You see, this is why I say this is not a complete strategy. I'm not looking for the alpha omegas by themselves to be used as a strategy in general. Now, you could, okay, depending on how much risk you could take. So, you know, maybe you had a stop, you know, below this area. Okay, somehow you figured out that I can take this amount of stop because I'm going to be holding for something very, very large. Okay. Well, then you might have been right. You see both of these kind of called the up move here, and now there is another red right here. So now we've got the beginning move. We have an end move. This is the alpha, and this would be the omega of the up move. You see, you follow that. Okay. Let's keep looking. So far we're looking like these 10s, 10, 11 has been pretty good. Oh, here's a 10. What time is this? This is 8:30 a.m. This looks like we hit it, but we just boom, we kept going. So is the 10 level power enough to really turn it? Well, it doesn't look like it at 8:30. You see that, right? So at 8:30 a.m., that was not enough to crank the market back down. Do you see why I mean that different times of day, particularly different sessions, might invalidate a specific setting, of why, you know, there's not one setting to save them all. This is why I made this video, because while I have given you generalized settings that work really well in most environments, it's still an art more than it is the science there. Understand? There is a mix of art and science here, but this 10 did not make that turn. You can obviously see the market is marching on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh, now we have another 10. That's a nice turn right there. So you can see that, you know, out of these so far, they're looking pretty good here, setting at 10. And you guys will know, out of the box, I have a lot of these settings set to, you know, around 10. But we'll talk about it. Sometimes, you guys know, I've got some of them set to 13. Like, I don't want to see it unless it's a 13. And on the high side, I want to see it at the 18. And I'll show you those settings here in a minute. But I just want to keep walking through some more eyeballed examples of this. Okay, so that turned, but we didn't get a green on the other side, right? There wasn't like, oh, the perfect pivot would have been here. Like, where's the green telling me to go long right here? Well, there wasn't one right there. So the question though might be to yourself, if you saw this happen, so you're here at 8:30, you see this go down and you see a big pivot turn and that sucker's going off, you're like, well, what's the number right here? How could you find that? Well, let's take a look. Let's see if we can do that. I'm going to duplicate this chart. Right click. I'm going to duplicate window here. Okay, and now we know that that was 8:30, right? So I'm going to go page up until I get to 8:30, and then we're going to play with some settings. Actually, I need to change the settings first. So let's just start with, let's cut the number in half. So we're at 10. I'm going to set it to 5. So I'm going to go to my indicator settings here, and I'm going to the alpha omega, and the low strength side, I'm going to set, instead of 10, right now I'm going to set it as low as 5. For my threshold. Okay. Oh, now the chart's starting to get a little bit busy, isn't it? Right now, again, up to you. You can actually get some pretty good information out of these. You could study this closely, and you could probably pull something out of this. It is definitely possible. But let's go and come back to that example there at the 8 o'clock, 8:30 area, right? So we could find that 8:30 a.m. move that we were just talking about there. Here's the 8:30. There was the 10, right? That blew straight through it. And then we got, we're looking at the right spot. Let me see. That was 8:31. Okay, sorry. There's a lot of prints here in queue. Wow, this is a very fast day. Okay, here we go. Here's the 8:31. At the 10, yeah. So there's the 10 spot. All right, you can see the 10. Yeah, we got an 8 in there. We got a 6 in there. Now we see a 10. There's our 10 turn. Right. Now, did we get one here? Still didn't get it with a 5. So what was a turning point in here? Was there one there? Well, let's see. Let's go even farther down. Let's set it to a 3 and see what we can get here. This is what I mean by fine tuning. You may have to play with those numbers until you find, again, how you want to use it. There are many ways that you could use this tool. All right, we're already down to a 3. So we can clearly tell that that actually did not have any bearing on this move at all. Like, this was not a, oh, well, it's going to use the alpha omegas here for this. This simply was nothing. We might want to look back here to the left to see what was this accumulation to this zone right here. And sometimes you can't explain it. Sometimes this, like this particular set of data, is not going to give us the information that we want here. Okay, so on the 3s, you can see like this is pretty busy, and this is what I mean by sometimes people have asked, hey Vinny, I got a whole bunch of these all in an area, it's super, you know, there's like a bunch of these, is this right? Well, maybe not. So this is where you might need to fine tune it. So change it. That's the whole point. Like, look, this turned on a, you know, a 4.4 up here. Now, mind you, could you correlate it to the others? Maybe you might be able to get some information, or maybe it's because of the cluster of these in an area, but you can tell right now this is way too busy. So I'm going to fine tune this and pull that out. Okay, so again, some of this is the, like I said, the art and the science as far as tuning this up. These are the numbers though that you're going to be playing with. So here is kind of the exercise that you're going to be looking at. The high strength, low strength right here. The low strength one is going to be the primary filter there. So the 3, that is basically like, I'm not going to show it unless it's at least X, whatever that is. Okay, how powerful this is going to be. And this has to do with bid ask volume, delta, etc. I'm not going to go into the details of what all is inside of these. Right now, just know, you know, this is about the fine tuning stuff. So coming here, I'm going to put this back to, let's do a 10 again. Okay. Now, again, like to me, that's a lot cleaner. I like that I can pick out some areas like this. So if I were looking over this, I would be like, you know what? I kind of like the 10. Yep, there it is. Called another pivot. Cool. Do you see how I can, you know, mentally narrow this in for myself and go, yeah, like greater than 10, we might have something interesting. Even as you get a secondary one right here, what I also notice is, you know, they're either pivots or look at the double cross, double move type of scenarios here. Do you get a double move out of a centerpiece of one of these? So let's do a measurement, right? Press F8. Let's grab our fate tool. And would you look at that? Pretty darn close to a, hey, from this guy here at this zone, if you were to draw a horizontal across here, and you can enable horizontals to draw for you on these. But if you draw across, you can, you know, generally see that this makes a double move out of this midpoint, right? Again, good, nice, solid move, but it didn't go all the way. So again, you can get different pieces of information from these, but fine tuning these to find out what numbers you should put them at is a matter of just basically looking back and kind of telling right now in the current day, what should these be at? Now, sometimes you might see that 10 is still not good. Like 10, again, this is also, I'm looking at the NASDAQ for the ES. This might not be right at all. And this is where you might need to play with these. Although I have, again, fine-tuned these so that these are good for almost any instrument because they are relative. This is relative information. What does that mean? That means like it doesn't matter like volumes. It's relative to the volume of that instrument. What we're seeing here, the activity that we're seeing is relative to what's going on in it. So, and again, this is order flow detail information. If you are wondering about, you know, like what type of indicator this is not a structural indicator. This is going to be an order flow event indicator, right? All right, so I've got one here that kind of was ignored, right? This guy went down here, really was no up move at all on this. So again, I like to tend to think of these as, do I have a double move opportunity? I'll go to the highest pivot and measure out from the one that got ignored and go, okay, I want to see if I can get a double move out of it. Not quite, didn't quite get there, but pretty darn close. You'll see that quite often though with these double moves. It's just how the markets are designed and operated when it comes to the algorithms that will come in and move those based on the contract counts that they've picked up. So here's a nice one right here. I mean, that's the beginning of a move, right? It's also the end of a move. This is why we call them the alpha and the omega. Hopefully you guys are kind of picking up on that, right? We've got an up move to this location. It'd be nice if I saw something right here. Get another one where I might tune this in and see if, like, you know, was there a 6 right here? Cool, then I might throw in the 5s. Okay, so although then again, the chart gets pretty noisy. Yeah, it'd be great if I had something else. But this is where, again, right now I've just completely blanked this chart. You guys understand that, right? Like maybe there was an enigma right here. I could add enigmas to this, and we'll add that here in a minute and see how we kind of start adding things together, because this is not the only way to use these. You can also use these for targets. You guys will see me do that a lot, especially when I am using the enigma entries. Again, enigma is, it can also be, you know, a target, but it's one that's going to show up instantly. So it's not like I'm going to be entering in on one and I'm exiting on another, but yeah, they're kind of the same. So we don't say not the same. They're not the same, but what I mean by, if I get a green enigma here and I'm entering in, I'm going long, I get my 20 ticks for my target 1. Then I'm holding until what? Until I get an opposing signal color. And where is that here? Well, that's my exit. So this is also, again, can also be used as, you know, the omega, the end of the move. What was the move here? Well, particularly a trade would be an enigma entry, exit on an alpha omega. Got me? Okay, so now it can also be the beginning of the move down. All right, and didn't get much out of it. Okay, so didn't get much out of it. Let me see if I get a continuation move. Again, I will look for a double move out of this oftentimes. So I'll come up here, same thing. I'm gonna go F8 to F8. Look at that one, called it down to the T. And let's see if we get a reversal. We get a little bit of a reversal there. This almost looks like a double crossover. This could be a big move down. Yep, so there you go. So you'll start to be able to read some of these, but once the market is in a strong trend like this is not going to be the beginning and endings of moves. Make sense? Like that's why I say don't use these by themselves, but they can give you a good piece of information. Now you'll notice these have all been, you know, you kind of been like 10, so oh, there's a 14 in there. So take a note of that one. Let's see if we get a measure from that 14. That's the biggest one we've seen yet. So let's see if that measure gives us anything. I'm going to go to F8 here, and I'm going to go from my prior 12 because it's the opposing color. And now that's a big sucker. That's the biggest one I've seen yet. Let's see if I get a double move out of that. Remember, our double move is going to be to our gold line. Where's the gold line? Right there, almost to the penny. Right there from red to red, pretty darn close. So again, I would always kind of play these with a little bit of, you know, some, maybe take the alpha omega right before you get to that, but don't get greedy, right? You're having to sweat that out, and really no need. You can take a nice entry point or exit right there off of that one. Okay, so we're off to the races again. Now remember that last big one was a 14. Let's see if we see another 14. There's the next 14 right there. You'll be able to start ignoring the smaller ones in the middle when you start to recognize, well, what was the most recent big one, and expect that other big one will need its match. Why is that? Remember, I tell you guys about how you've got to have buyers and sellers. You've got to have the accumulation and the distribution, right? We call it the AC/DC, right? So AC/DC, that's how the power works, and alternating current, direct current, you know the drill, and of course a beautiful band, AC/DC. So we've got the accumulation of the move, and you've got a power level 14. That means in order to stop this move, you also need a 14 or greater, right? So it could be, you know, you might need a 16. I know this is backwards, but you get my point, that it might need to be bigger, 14 or larger, before we're going to get a turning point. And sure enough, so boom, finally get a 14 to kind of get a move up. We're at a 10. Did we get another 14? No. So are we going to get the move up? Possibly. Let's see if it comes up. Are we going up? Yeah. Ends up being the up move. Here we go. Now we finally come into some reds again. Let's see, how big does it have to be? Oops, I just went too far for us to keep track of those. Okay, so again, I can kind of go through this a lot. You need to kind of study on these if you want to get really good at using these. But again, you can see, man, some of these just absolutely call that spot and location. Look at the time of day, right? Here's 2 o'clock. You know the sessions. If you go into our room, type ! sessions, you'll see how the day divides out. But you'll want to kind of get a good estimate right here. I feel like I got a pretty good estimate right here using the 10. 10 is feeling pretty good. But now, when I start to see things like that one earlier where the 14 became the new major, I may want to adjust that. In fact, I've seen 14 several times now. You see this, how I'm eyeballing this, and I'm going, I'm starting to see some bigger numbers here. Whoa, and see this? As soon as I see this, okay, a whole bunch of this in an area, guess what? I want to up my numbers. So I want to fine tune this. So now around noon, things got to be a little bit hairy on this day. These things started to get a lot bigger. So instead of, the 10s aren't really giving me my really good turning points anymore. So now I want to start looking for that 14 or greater. So now when I'm talking about fine tuning, so now I want to go in there and adjust this. So let's go into our indicators again. And now let's set this to that 14. Filter out some of the other noise. So I might want to fine tune these here. All right, so now let's start looking at the 14s. Now, if I start looking to the left, again, I should be seeing a lot less of these, but see how now we're only seeing that 14. We didn't get the high with the 10 anymore, okay, because we're getting into the other part of the day. Remember, this is pre-market, this is overnight. Yeah, nothing big, which is no surprise, right? We're not going to see a lot of power overnight, right? But you come into the New York session, see how we go from where, this is what I mean by fine-tuning, like overnight, you might need the 10, maybe even the 5. Right, but then now we got intraday. There's 9:30. Okay, we're at the 9:30 open. First one was a level 14. So now before I'm going to get a turn, I know that I need at least a 14 to turn this. You understand that? Boom, there's my 14. Boom, here we go. There's our turn. Look at her go. Okay, so now I need at least a 14, right? So now, beginning of the move, there she goes. We're holding, you're holding, you're holding, you're holding, you're holding. Boom, 14's finally showing up. Uh-oh. We're getting multiple 14s now, which means we might start meeting bigger numbers. See, and look at that, right after, almost right after it, we start seeing a big 19. We're approaching 20 now, right? And that's why I like having my, high number value there as well. Oops, press the wrong button. It's all the way to the end. Bummer. I like to see that higher number with a different color, and that's what that high number value equates to. So right now it's set to 18 in my settings, so it's going to change color anything 18 or greater. That's why we've got a color change here. This will be blue and our pink, which is our more powerful colors if you've been following our color schemes inside of the AlgoBox. Yes, and now you're seeing, again, 14s are the power of the turning point. And you see what I mean by tuning? Again, like if you don't get it, I totally understand that. That's why I'm saying this is a complex thing. This is not just, this isn't the easiest thing, but it's not hard either. I don't think it's super hard, especially when you're kind of using it on its own. But when you start to combine it with things, it can become very, very, very powerful. Okay. Let me remove some of those other lines. Control R, remove drawing objects. All right, so there's the clarity of what's going on. That was the turning point. Again, we're at the 14s to make the turns now, right? Now we got to remember there was a 20 in here, okay? Let's keep an eye when we see another 20, because we have seen, okay, boom, the highest one we've seen so far. There is a 20 working in here, okay? We've got somebody in here at the 20s. Oh, there's one. You see it? Okay. Is that going to be a turn? I think it will be. Let's see if it is. Yeah, pretty decent turn. What's the measurement on that there? Let's do our measuring tool. I don't have this bound on this PC. It's going to be my drawing ruler tool. This one right here. 85 ticks. That is an 85 tick push up right there, just to that big pivot right there. And yes, continues to go up a little bit farther, maybe 100 ticks. We do get a drop back down in it. Let's see if we get any other details. Let's see the time of day. Oh, yeah, we're shifting times. This is that 10:30 scenario. I told you guys 10:10 to 10:30. That's one zone. Now we've got a new set of personality after 10:30. No numbers here. Okay, now it looks like we've finished. These have a match. I always play this matchmaking game. There's the 20. Where was its match? Right here. Okay. this one matched up with the other 20 over here. Okay, guy picked up 20. He's like, ah, gotta ditch my 20. Gonna follow that. Okay, if you're holding them, you gotta also release them, right? Accumulate, distribute. So we found the match there. Some people talk about this in auction theory. Okay, auction theory, we're saying, okay, I got 1,000 lots. Okay, well, I gotta get rid of 1,000 lots. So we got our two there matching. We get our turning point up, but now we've got a new time of day. And I start to notice, hey, I don't see a whole lot here. What does that mean? I need to retune, right? So 1030 comes, I might need to retune this again. I want to see, what was the pivot right here? Do I have numbers here or here? How do I do it? Adjust again. You see what I'm talking about tuning? This is what I mean by tuning. So I'm going to tune this one more time. Let's crank it down. We'll crank it down to a 10 again. Ah, there we go. All right, so about 11, almost a 12 per turns now. You see it? All right, let's look for 11s or 12s. Boom. First one doesn't even move, almost ignores it. So what am I going to do? I'm looking for a double move, right? So F8, find the tip. There she goes. Boom, and the drop. There she goes. So we know that a level 12 is going to be what we're looking for a turn. Right, at least there it is. There's a 12. Okay, boom, we get an up move. How big is that move? Not big enough to write home about, but we tried. Okay, again, nothing's 100%. Let's see. Oh, we're getting into 15s now. So the new number, we've got a 15 and a 14. So our numbers have increased. You see it? So what's more important now? I'm making my matches at 14s and 15s now. Let's see if this is the turn or the continuation. One, we're always going to measure to them, okay? Because oftentimes I can pick up something off of a gold line reversal. There it is, boom. And she, there's your closeout. A little bit of move there, but you can see, I mean, look, it's calling these moves. It's calling the spots. Very powerful, okay? Now remember, we're at 12. We said 12s were the pivots, right? 12 or greater. Is 10 enough? Probably not. Be careful of a 10 right there. It looks like we're coming into accumulation zone. We're up, that's an 11. Keep on, let's do a measurement, right? So we're gonna do a measurement, F8. Starting to get messy here, so let's do Control R first, remove all drawing objects. Let's do F8 again. F8, pivots, boom, there we go, we're off to the races. These are 10s. Remember, 12s are the only thing we're worried about for a turn. There's our first opportunity for a turn. Comes down a little bit, nothing to write home about. Still continuing up. Ends up making a turn off the 10s. Now we start to get all clustered up. Once we get all this type of information, again, what does this mean? This means for the afternoon, as we come into a new zone, which is no surprise, right? This is the 10:32. Here's noon. Where's noon? Right here. Boom. In fact, right there. Wow, look at that. Finished that session, 10:30 to noon, right? We know that as one of our session times, 10:30, and here's the noon. Look at that. There's your finisher at 12. Isn't that cool? Now, new numbers. What are our new numbers? Well, we can start to tell in the lunch zone, 10 is not going to cut it. You can see it, right? So as we head into the afternoon, I want to bump this again. So, having my indicators, I want to go to my alpha omega. I want to fine tune it. Looks like I need at least a 14 here, so I'm going to put 14 because it might be 15, but I want to, I don't want to miss out on a 14. So I'm going to fine tune her and get her in here to a 14. See, did I break something? No, there's the last 14. Okay, and okay, so our next one, we end up seeing way up here, 14.5. There ends up, but look, there's the turn. What time is that? 1 o'clock. So the lunch hour, again, probably don't, lunch hour, we have a lunch bot for that, right? Lunch, there's a lunch personality that we kind of let the lunch bot. That's why there's that hour there for the lunch bot. No surprise, right? It's a little bit of a different personality. Okay, so we come into the afternoon session, starting here, 1 o'clock. Where's 1 o'clock? Right here. Now, I'd like to kind of see if I could tune this and find out what that number is. Like maybe it was a 12, so I might need to turn this down a little bit because it does feel like I'm kind of empty here. But I kind of like this too at the same time. I'm like, boom, all right, we got a 14.5, and then I see an 18 that gets ignored. So how much power am I going to need now to make a match with that? I need an 18, right? But a 14, 15, also called the turning point. It's So let's see how that plays out. Let's see what our number is going to be for the match. Nothing right there. Okay. Carried. We're into 2 o'clock. There, finally, we start to see some 14s. First one ignored. So what are we going to do? You know the drill. We're going to measure from big pivots. F8, big pivot way up here. The start of this little area is probably this pivot here. So again, we know like we don't want to miss it. So, oh, look at that. Calling that beautiful little spot right there. Who wouldn't like a beautiful dropout move like that one right there? Let's come in here, get my ruler tool. I'm going to go from that 14, you hit to the goal line. That is 115 ticks right there for you, just on the double move. Now, remember, what do we say was the turning number? It's going to have to be possibly a 20 level, or no, 18. Sorry, 18.1. We're looking for an 18 for a turn. We need a match of an 18 before we're looking for a reverse to the other side. Nothing. So we continue. Boom. Finally, we see something. Is that an 18? No. 15. Now, we don't know if like close by, was there another 3 somewhere? It would be nice to know, but there's finally first spot that we might start to see something out of this. Let's see. Yep, there she goes. Okay, so the 15, we don't know what else is in here. Again, that's why I say don't use it by itself, add some other stuff to it. But look at that, another nice up move from that guy there. I'm curious what that measurement is there, so let's grab it. Grab our ruler. What's that called? That called a 125 tick up move. Not too shabby. We're into after hours right here, 4 o'clock. There's the 4 o'clock ender. Now let me show you guys what happens at the end of the day if you have these set to you know, like some lower numbers. End of day, things get really hairy. A lot of people have asked, hey, what's going on with this? Again, this is why I'm saying like this, you got to play with this. We could, you know, future versions, maybe we, you know, fine tune this 4 different times a day and have it ignore the last half hour or stuff like that. We'll do that in the future. But for right now, obviously have understanding of what the market's doing at the close where everybody is exchanging hands. Let's put this to like say a level 10. This is going to get pretty overcrowded there during the end of the day, typically. No, 10 didn't get too crazy. There on a 10. So not always. Now I will say you will see that a lot on the ES. Now sorry, I feel like I ran this video a lot longer than I wanted to, but I want to show you guys real quick before we go on this. This is, you know, looking down at a small 4 range, but you can apply this towards some of the larger ranges as well. So I want to kind of show you guys that. So zooming in on our cool little bars here, that's what they look like internally. Of course, you can use them with the Bollingers as a nice little combo as well. Let's get them off of the small stuff and let's go to the big stuff. So here on the 24, you know, one of my favorite ranges, it's a kind of a mid time frame deal. The numbers are going to drastically change. You know, a 7 might be enough to start moving these. We need to kind of figure out, well, what number is it going to be? So let's zoom out for ourselves first thing I do to be able to tune these. Whoa, you see how busy it is? Very busy. But first thing I want to do is set the number low so I get pretty busy, and then I want to look at the most, you know, recent pivots. Okay, well, where are their major pivot points? Is there a number that's calling major pivots? All right, sometimes there is, sometimes there is not. Okay, but if there is, let's find out what that number is. It looks to me like, yeah, we're pretty close. I may want to filter. Well, I don't know, the 6 might be pretty good. So 6.4 called that perfect pivot point. 6 and 7 was enough on this area to do something with it, but our you know, order flow components, their main, I want to point this out, that the main assist out of order flow disparities and order flow activity, the edge comes in the smaller time frames. When we catch things out of balance, when we catch the algorithms trying to catch orders, okay, higher time frames not going to be as useful, but if you're trying to tune these for it, it's a little bit different. You're going to have to try to find these. Yes, it looks very crowded right now because I'm very zoomed in, but when I start to zoom out, I might, you know, it might not be that bad, but I may want to start cutting out the 6s. It looks like to me. Maybe I want to, let's get some of those out of there. Maybe I just want the 7s. I'm seeing a lot of 7 pivots, so I'm going to go ahead and modify those maybe for the 7s. But again, you got to kind of think on a daily area, and for the 24s, this might actually be too large for NQ right now in this type of day. Now another day, it may be less. This is what I mean by you know, on an FOMC week where the markets are getting very volatile, that it will be completely different. And why I'm saying, if you're going to be using the alpha omegas, there's not just a single setting that's like, you know, set and forget, this is it. But there is a good, you know, range value of things that work really well for the majority of all cases. But if you're trying to fine tune this thing and optimize it for, you know, this current time frame, there's a lot of things involved with it. So again, be careful over tuning it, overplaying with those numbers. But this is kind of how you would figure that out, to see like what values do you want to, you know, is there something that really stands out? Like how about all those 7 turns? There's a nice 7 turn point there. Here we got one, but then again, a 9 really kind of didn't do much. You got a 10 now. Like you got to kind of, I hate to use the word tricky here, but again, this used by itself on the higher time frames, these are less valuable on the high time frames. On the low time frames, they're much more valuable. I mean, the smaller the time frame you get here, the better this gets. Let me kind of give an example all the way down to some of the lowest time frames, especially on the algo bars. Let me show you real quick before we go, you know, how powerful that is on the lowest time frames, where the real advantage of order flow techniques come into play. Let's look at that. All right, in wrapping up, so we're coming down here to say the algo bar 2s. We'll go all the way down to the 1s here in just a moment. Just start to look, eyeball how many of these catch those pivots. So that one catches that one. Look at this one. That one catches that one. Let's keep going, even on the full drops. Look at this. Boom. Catches that guy right there. Not so much this one, but do you get a double move out of it? Yes, you're either getting a lot of double moves, or you are, wow, look at that. I mean, literally calling pivots from top to bottom, beginning and ends. This is why I really love this on the lowest of the time frames. Okay, I mean, you can really start to use this almost by itself. It is scary good down here on the lowest time frames. Catching these algorithms, offsides, feeling and knowing when you've got these stop runs, you've got the power coming in via the order flow. This is extremely powerful in these areas. So double move, yep. Pivot, yep. I mean, just very solid. Now this is just setting to 10. I can start to see here that 10 is not going to be as powerful, right? I want to start seeing bigger numbers. Looks like we're looking for a 15 before we're going to see anything. Yep, boom, there's a 15. Look at her, there she go. You see, hopefully you can see the power in that. Let's go one layer down, even to the lowest. The lower you go, the more powerful this is, which is very interesting in a concept. Like most people are looking at the high time frames. The higher time frames are more powerful. Yes, structurally. I'd like you to leave with this note here tonight. One of the most powerful things you might walk away with tonight from a concept basis. Draw a mental line here in the center of your mind, left side, right side. You'll have structural. Wish I had more room for that. And order flow. Again, our system can take advantage of both. What are structures? These are talking about, let's go smaller here. These are harmonics. These are Elliott waves. These are DCDMs. Well, just call it double move, right? The double move comes from, that's a structure. Well, that's already an Elliott wave, right? So ABCD. Other structures, things like wedges, channels, those are structural on high time frames. Okay, this is high time frame stuff. Okay. HTF, high time frames. Well, I can't type tonight, a little bit tired here. Then over here, the advantage is in the low time frames. Okay, the power of AlgoBox is that we combine them both. One of the powers. We have a lot of things going here for us. Harmonics, Elliott waves, that's our primaries here. Yeah, I mean, these are basically advanced structures. We don't do so much wedges and channels as much as like some of my super early videos back in the day before we had auto-drawn harmonics, very powerful structures. Now you have the order flow components. And over here, we got a lot of things working for us over here. We've got Enigma, we've got the standard white crosses, we've got the bubbles, We've got AudioBox. Wow, AudioBox particularly. Get them off sides for the smaller time frames. You've got, and of course here tonight we're talking about the alpha omegas over here. Both types of crosses, and our AudioBox, Flowmaster, anything Flowmaster related, the low time frame advantages and edges here. Combining these two is where you get the power of the high time frame, the low time frame. When you're looking at SMLK lines, that actually is a structural thing as well. Structural timing. Very, very powerful stuff. So hopefully you guys got some good stuff out of here tonight. You know, it was more, you know, alpha omegas. Look, it's a little bit tricky with the tuning. I feel like I kind of overcomplicated. I tried not to, but it is very simple. If I were to simplify the whole thing to summary, you know, to summarize here, look at it. Just look, find the pivots, see what numbers are hitting on the most recent pivots. And I say, guys, I'm not looking all the way back. I don't want to go too far back. Within your session, know your sessions. Okay, find a pivot that's been recent in the session where it's given you a turning point, and look for some more of those. That's how you're going to fine tune those alpha omegas if you want to get beginnings and ends. And remember that they're also the beginnings and, well, the endings particularly of other plays. If you're going to get an entry for anything else, if you're going to get in on a Bollinger Band entry green to the long side and you're going to hold a runner, what's a nice exit? Right there, boom. Doesn't have to be necessarily the entry. If you're like, well, I don't know if it's not getting my entries, but what if it's an exit? Okay. What if you have a perfect SMOK timing right here? Maybe this was an Elliott wave. Fibella dot shows up right here. You enter in short, cool. You get your first 10 ticks, cool. You're holding the next one till you see an opposing signal, boom. You finally find one. Right. Use them for the ends of plays. That's a lot of my plays are enders on these. I don't enter in a lot with these. Unless they're in combination with something for entries, but for exits I definitely like to use these for exits. Great pivot points. Again, you can see it all, like whether you, let's say that there was an enigma. Again, I don't have all the stuff turned on right now, but if I were to see an enigma entry right here, boom, get my 20 ticks, boom, exit on the next one. Got it. Try to keep it simple like that. Simple, effective, and there you go. That is how you fine tune the alpha omegas. I'll catch you in the next one. For me, Pippy, Robbie, Lunchbot, Mod Squad, Curtis, G, and the rest of the gang, I am sitting out the Big H Town. See ya.